Hello, everybody. What's today? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to be here today on this, well, semi beautiful day, at least here in Texas. I'm not sure. Jeremy, what's the weather like where you are? It
Uh,
looks beautiful in the background, the fake background.
yeah, fake background. Yeah, overcast skies over here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
I'm looking at the same thing here. So, um, thank you everyone for joining us. I see some people are just logging on. We are very excited today here at Host Agency Reviews because we have G Adventures and not just G Adventures, our friends over at G, but specifically Jeremy Brady, who we
Hmm.
love very much. And he is going to be giving us a webinar about debunking, which is super, super important. So, let's see. I know you have your slide deck and everything, Jeremy. So, um, for those of you that are tuning in, if you have questions, pop those in the comments as we go along because I have been given the thumbs up to interrupt and pop in with witty comments throughout the conversation. So pop those in. We'll get those answered right away for you. Let us know while you're tuning in. Let me see. I actually haven't even checked the chat. Oh, okay. So no one's talking yet, and we need some people talking. So let us know where you're from and what the weather is like. There's got to be somewhere where it's sunny. I hope at least. So, with that, Jeremy, let's get started. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen and then I can turn it on and we can go from
Yeah,
there?
we can do that. Let me see.
I'm really hoping there's someone where it's sunny out there. It's going to be really, it's going to backfire on me if everyone's like it's cloudy and overcast here as well. Oh, here we go. I am so excited to learn what your biggest myth here is.
Yes, me too. Me too. It's definitely a conversation starter for us. So again, thank you for the introduction. I'll be your host today, talking on G side, representing G Adventures. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm the director of sales. I've been with G for about 10 years now. So come May will be my 10-year mark. So I know a thing or
Nice.
two about G, and they've kept me around a little bit. So that's nice that they still want me. But yeah, I actually started out as one of the BDMs, or what we call GPS, Global Purpose Specialists in the Mid-Atlantic. And then the last 5 years, I've been managing the field sales team. And now more recently, I'm dealing with the partnerships and all the consortia relationships that we have. So a lot of fun stuff. But I've been in over 15 different G trips, 50 countries. And what I always like to stress with G Adventures is a lot of our staff, believe it or not, 50 countries is on the lower end of the well-traveled side at G Adventures. So we have some world travelers
Wow.
on our team, which is amazing and very good for you as advisors. If you have a weird country or inquiry that you just know nothing about, probably someone at G Adventures that's been to that country. So that's something I wanted to share. That's really exciting. But today I'm going to really talk about a little bit focusing on what community tourism is. And then I'm going to jump into that little myth we're talking about, debunking the biggest myth at G Adventures. And then I wanted to showcase and highlight some of our newest travel style, GLuxe, which is a premium active travel style that we launched just a few months ago, and also do a comparison with that in National Geographic Journeys, which is our other upgraded travel style that we've had a partnership with since 2015. So let's get going.
Yeah.
All right. So G Adventures, we are the world's largest adventure travel company. We are in over 100 countries on all 7 continents, and our specialty is small group tours. And the number that we think when we say small group is no more than 12 to 16 travelers on all of our experiences. But our founder here, Bruce Poon-Tip, he founded this company back in 1990. And what he saw in the industry was mass tourism. There was the all-inclusives, the cruises, the mass, the big ships and everything. And he wanted to find a way to travel where you got to the heart of the destination, and also the local destinations benefited from it as well. So thus he came up with G Adventures. And I just lost my tracker there. There we go. Oh, there we go. And with that came this concept of community-based tourism. And what does that exactly mean? Well, community-based tourism is a two-sided conversation. We want to make sure that when we go to these destinations, that there's a way that they can be uplifted And we want them to be led by locals, because in turn what that does is that also gives your travelers a more immersive experience. But these are often led by the communities, nonprofits, cooperatives, and social enterprises in the area. So we try to use tourism as that driver to create opportunities in those destinations. And then also we want to prevent leakage that happens in our industry, which I'll talk more about in a bit here. But when it's done right, again, community tourism, it prioritizes those local communities, their cultures and environments. And again, that is a alternative solution to mass tourism. If you want to have that feel good, want to know your money's going to something good when you travel, this is a great avenue to go. And more
Mhm.
importantly, yeah, you get that meaningful experience, and you get, an immersive experience, and know that you're supporting the communities that you visit. And then with that comes ripple effects. And we've seen this over the years. So we've been doing this for 30 years. And these are just opportunities that start happening in these destinations for especially countries that are underserved and communities. And we start seeing women, having their first jobs outside their home, which is very sometimes not well known. Children getting increased access to education, and then troubled youth gaining skills to help long-term employment in the industry. So we're trying to use travel as a driver to help support them. And then more recently too, we're starting to see women in these leaders take leadership roles in their communities, which is amazing to see.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff out
Power
there.
to the ladies.
Yes, exactly. But who G Adventures is, we're the pioneers of community tourism. And again, we have a wide amount of trips to travel to, 750. So it keeps increasing now that we've added GLuxe. And we segment them into various travel styles, which I'll showcase which ones we're going to focus on today. But our goal is really to get to the heart of the destination in a meaningful way that benefits not only your travelers, but the destinations that you visit. And we feel like this is going to change the world. And that's why we believe that advisors, you are agents of change. You play a big part in that. Who you decide to work with and send travelers to makes a big impact. And our industry does great things. So we want to thank you for that and continue to fight the fight.
Mhm.
But who is G Adventures for? Well, we're for everyone. A lot of times people default G Adventures as a young backpacking brand. Well, I have some stats here and numbers don't lie. So, as you can
Wow.
see in our travel industry, we have a lot of folks that are booking their travelers in their 50s and 60s on our experiences. So, yes, at one point when we first started 30 years ago, we did have those young backpackers. But, now they want a more comfortable trip. So, we're evolving. And with that comes different, age groups and travel styles. But as you can see, the median age for our trips is 57, which blows everyone away because they always think, oh yeah, you're for those 20 somethings and 30 somethings. So I just
Wow.
wanted to highlight that because that's a huge misconception that we seem to get when we're on the road or in the field visiting agencies. So I want to set it straight that we cater to a big audience, and it's a wide audience as well.
Okay, I got a question on this.
Yeah,
This is a Steph question.
for
So
sure.
with that median age, did that pop up? Is that from like when you launched GLuxe, or this happened before you even did that? This is the people that have been with you since they were in their 20s and they just have continued to travel with you?
So in the U.S., actually, believe it or not, a lot of our travelers have been the demographic has been much older in the U.S. Some
Mhm.
of our other regions like Australia and the UK, they cater to a younger demographic. So we do see that's why it was skewed. And when we first started 10 years ago, we launched a field sales team, or actually 10, 15 years ago, we launched in the US. We had a very small footprint in the US.
Yep.
So that's why it defaulted to a lot of young. But as we grew more in the US, and now we are the largest market out of all the other regions, we are now having that that older demographic on our trips. But think about it too. It's also bucket list destinations that we offer, which I'll get into. So things like Galapagos, safaris, expeditions to Antarctica, those are high ticket items and also life, dream trips that people always want to go
Mhm.
to, that they've been saving up their whole lives for.
Yep.
So,
Cool.
yep. All right. So, jumping into it, I just want to sum up kind of G Adventures in 6 things. So, One being we have the best tour leaders that we call Chief Experience Officers, or CEOs for short. Bruce stripped himself of that title because he felt that these guys and gals are the face of the company. They're the most important people, and they really are the ones that are going to make that trip magical for you. I always like to share my first instance with G Adventures as I went on a trip to Turkey. So I just started working with them, and they're like, "Hey, you got to cover a fam. You're going to Turkey in 2 months." I was like, "Sweet, awesome." What a great way to start. When I got there, I got to meet Boulant, who was our CEO. And what was really special was there were 8 of us, mind you. He took us to a rooftop restaurant that was overlooking the Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque. So I was already wowed, bedazzled. But what really stood up next was he got to sit down with each of us and ask us, what's important to you? What do you want out of this experience? He really made it, more personable. So case in point, when we were in the Hagia Sophia the next day, he pulled a couple of individuals aside and gave them a more in-depth presentation because he knew that's what they cared about. That's the advantage of that small group aspect, but
Hmm.
also getting to, connect with the locals. We want you to feel like you're part of the community. That's that whole sense of communityship that we believe in at G Adventures. So you'll get to interact. And that's when we talk about adventure travel, soft adventure. Part of that is interacting with your environment. So we want to bridge that gap between the tourist and the community. We want you to feel connected and feel like you belong. And that's
Hmm.
why we have local based guides that do that for us. And then, of course, having small groups. I mean, that's an advantage. That brings you closer to the heart of the destination. You can't set that expectation with 40 plus, travelers. Like, that's a different tour experience.
Yep.
This one allows you to go a little bit deeper because some of these places, unfortunately, they can't handle more than like 10, 15 people at a time. So that's why small group travel would be a great advantage for your travelers. And then, of course, you still have that escorted feel, though. So you don't feel like you're abandoned or you're alone. You still have the comforts and security of an escorted tour. And then also some of the perks of, being booked and having everything taken care of for you. Uh,
Hmm.
but with us, we also want to make sure that, like I said earlier, with the community tourism bit, that we want to support the local community. So, but we also want to make sure that you have culture packed experiences to throw in there as well. So a lot of our trips offer like homestays, where whether that be a lunch or sometimes an overnight where you stay in a village with a community. So we do offer those types of experiences. And then lastly, yes, we have up to 12 different travel styles to choose from. And that's, there's a style for everyone. We feel everyone has their way they like to travel. So now as a travel advisor, you have options to pick for your travelers. And this comes the travel style slide. We're adding more, so it's actually getting harder to put all of them on one slide. I'm actually struggling with this.
I see that's very small font in there.
Yes. So if you have to pause and zoom in on this recording, feel free. We'll go
Control
back
plus
to it.
for sure.
But what I wanted to highlight today, what we're seeing with a lot of our advisor community is focus on the upgraded travel style. Because again, I'm trying to debunk the young myth. So the ones that I've highlighted in a purple rectangle box are the National Geographic Journeys, which is our most upgraded travel style. And I'm going to speak more to that here in a bit. But that was a collaboration that started in 2015, and it was to offer a more accessible National Geographic experience. And then more of our values match, which I'll talk about. And then
Mhm.
more recently, and funny enough, we did start this, we took over their Family Journeys collection. The first departure started in March of 2020. And then, of course, we had to delay that launch, clearly. And now we've relaunched it, and it has been a amazing launch for us. We are seeing that this travel style is really going to grow in the next year and a half, and this is one of the bigger opportunities that we see in the US market for family travel, because there's a lot of people out there that are a lot of suppliers out there that do family travel, but it's the super luxury and the super budget. This one kind of fills that void right in the middle. So it's very unique in that aspect. And we feel like there's a big audience that this would fit for. And then more recently, of course, GLuxe, which is our more active premium travel style. So I'm going to try to focus on, this, putting up an example of a trip of both travel styles, whether that be National Geographic Journeys or GLuxe, and kind of talk about the differences between the two.
Okay, I got a question for you on this last one.
Yeah.
So, Steph, who's not this Steph, but a Steph in the audience,
Oh,
on
yeah.
that last slide, do you mind if we go back for just a
Yeah, we
second?
can do that.
So I saw she's wondering, she's interested in any women-only itineraries or options to schedule buyout a private group. And I saw on the National Geographic's Journey that that's like solo travelers and females. So what would be the best fit for Steph as she's looking for this?
Yes, so we offer private travel with a minimum of 8 travelers, and you can block off your own departure or choose your own date as well. And pretty much, we would run a duplicate of whatever trip we offer. You can close it and make it your own, which is great. We don't require upfront deposits, and we would hold space up until 90 days prior in some
Oh,
cases.
wow. Okay.
And then we would require 8 names. And something that we're just launching now that's really advantageous to you is if you block off a group, and let's say for whatever reason we can't get 8 people, if you still have a minimum of 4 people, we will release it to the public and they can still travel, and then others will start joining that trip. It'll be sellable for others to book on,
Ah,
which is a great advantage, because a lot of times you get locked in that and then you might have to cancel, and then you're like, ah, crap, what am I going to do now?
yeah, I lost those 4 bookings.
So we're able to still allow your travelers that want to travel to travel. So this is a great advantage. So
Eh,
stay tuned for updates on that. I probably revealed it a little too soon, but you'll see something coming from us about that very shortly. So
cool.
mom is the word, even though this is live and recorded.
So then for the female, like, are there any woman-only itineraries that are, like, specifically marked for that?
So no, we don't have any women only trips. So these would
Mhm.
be for the private departures that we offer at this time. So
Would they okay, sorry, I'm asking all these questions for staff because we have an advisor we've been working with that's also specializing in,
mhm.
female-only itineraries, and I know when she reached out to G, they were able to tell her on the tour, like, "Oh, it looks like there's 7 females and 4 males so far."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So in that sense, yes, we can share broad, broad top
Mhm.
level who's on the trip. So then that way they can decide if that's a fit for them or if they want to try another departure. So yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome to ask those questions too. We call it our GCOs, Global Connection Officers. So our GCOs will be happy to answer that and give you the best take on what trip might be a better fit.
Cool, she says, "That was very helpful, perfect for her groups, thank you."
Awesome. Yeah. Funny enough, I worked with there was an organization called Women Traveling Together,
Mhm.
and they do a lot of private groups with us over the years. That's a great model for those that are looking to try to explore that space to take a look at what that organization
Oh.
does. They're wonderful, wonderful organization. So.
Mary, see if you can pop that in the links for people to check out.
All right, so let's talk about GLuxe, the newest and greatest G adventures, or adventure at its finest. So for the longest time, we've had so many people that were adamant G fans, but they're like, guys, we need something a little bit more comfortable and upgraded. We just want to have a softer landing at night. We want to have
My
more,
joints.
a little more bouginess, just a little bit. So we caved. But to kind of give you context of why it took so long to happen was because when we start mixing in what we call amenities, it starts compromising the integrity of community tourism a little bit, because then the focus is more on oh, how many, what's the thread count, or westernized amenities, and not necessarily focusing on the properties that are going to benefit the locals. And
Mhm.
that's why it took forever. So I'm glad
Ah.
to say that we finally came up with it, because there, just like I said with the family side, there's also on the adventure side, or premium active side, there's people that do luxury travel very well and those that do active, but there's not really two that intersect both of those and do it at this level, and that's where
Mhm.
this is a unique aspect for us. So these are travelers that are going to be, actually, funny enough, I keep saying funny enough, that's like my favorite term today. Yeah, yeah. These are going to be 40-year-old professionals, solo travelers too. And a fun fact about Geo Adventures, over half of our travelers are solo travelers. So we do have
Mm,
a lot of solo travelers that go with us. And that's because we don't force a supplement. So there's the option to purchase your own room, or you get matched with a roommate. So that's something that we offer, that's advantageous for solo travelers. And I've been on 15 trips, and I've seen on every single trip we've had at least half the group of solo travelers meeting other travelers from all over the world. So really cool. I digress there. But getting into this further, these are going to be adventurers. They want to still have active, they have active lifestyles, and they still want to do that while they travel. But at the end of the day, I want to relax, I want to have
mhm,
some comforts. And that's where we kind of tied in some of these experiences with GLuxe. And then with National Geographic on the other side, this is where we're going to explain kind of the differences between the two. National Geographic Journeys is going to be more upgraded as well on that level. However, this is going to be more learning, educational based, less active, more on the soft adventure side of things. So that interaction with the environment, that, interacting with the communities that you visit, having more educational moments. An example of that, like Jordan actually pictured here, that was my very first G Adventures National Geographic Journeys trip. As part of that experience, we have these National Geographic Journey moments that are exclusive to Nat Geo. They don't share this with any other operator, or there's nowhere else that you can have this type of experience. But before I saw Petra, I got to meet up with an archaeologist that discovered parts of Petra. We had a little lecture, and then we had
oh,
a private tour from him. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the picture of the treasury, but I'm sure everyone knows the treasury, the very popular treasury.
yep.
This guy happened to have discovered the cabins that are underneath. So if you've ever been there, there's actually a cutoff, and there's some cabins that are right underneath the treasury. He discovered those, and then that was fascinating. And then we found these fun facts that 97% of all travelers that see the treasury only go up to the treasury, take the photo, and come back. Our groups, there's 20 kilometers around that whole area of, and even parts that are still undiscovered, of ruins of Petra. So uh,
Wow.
we also had a fun experience where there's one resident that still lives in Petra. So this turned into a UNESCO site, and the government forced a lot of the folks to move out, the Bedouin communities to move out. But one guy
Mhm.
basically threw the big FU to the government and said, "This is my home. I'm living here. I'm not leaving." And his house is built into the mountain that's right by. So it's like it's built in. And he was walking down, and he invited us up for tea. So the 12 of us got to go up to have tea with him, and he shared his life stories, and we got to open up a photo book of his. It's this thing about Jordanians; they have multiple wives. So he looked at me, and I was on a fam with 13 female travel advisors. So he was like, "Wow, 13 wives." I was like, "No, no." I was like, "No, no, no, no." But it was a fun experience, and that's when we talk about that connecting with the communities and feeling like you belong. We felt like we were part of the community with that experience, and that was so special. So
Is.
that's the type of experience that we deliver consistently at G Adventures. And then, of course, National Geographic Family Journeys. We understand that there's a lot of young travelers that we want to have, we want to share these experiences for, and also families that are trying to figure out how can they have these experiences. And some even know the purpose of this was to showcase that you can go on a safari in Tanzania with your family. It is possible, and it is affordable. It's not going to be high. It's not going to be high cost. So that was the whole purpose of it. And then to develop, itineraries that were interactive for both, the adults and the children. So these are going to be trips that are a little bigger in group size, because we want to try to fit 4 to 5 families on them. So up to 22 travelers on these experiences. And we're going to have the benefit of having 2 CEOs on those trips. So one can be fully dedicated to helping, the activities with the kiddos, and then one to help service the adults as well. So this is great for multi-generation. A lot of folks do opportunities that are happening. Think about it. You've done the Disney trip. You've done some of the national park stuff stateside. You've done the all-inclusive. You've done the cruise. Now let's try something like a Costa Rica. That's a great transition, a great first big international trip, land tour with a family. And that's one I would recommend as a good starter for a lot of folks that want to dabble into it, or families that are interested in looking at doing international travel. Then as expand your palette, we offer places like Japan, which is that's been the most popular family one we've been selling right now. Or we have
Ah,
ones in France, Italy. So there's a bunch of different ones that you can do, and I'm really excited for this because it still ties in those components of National Geographic storytelling and fun little projects that you get to visit along the way. So redundant slide, I'm not going to keep continuing on. Da, da, da. So I did a breakdown, more text, which I'm not a text heavy guy, so I'll try to sum it up really quickly for you. Again, the GLuxe is going to be more for a premium active traveler. It's upgraded, but it's premium. It's going to be active. So these, you don't have to be a superhero to go on these trips, but there's going to be some treks and walking and kayaking, some type of activities like that on the active element. And then
mhm,
on the opposite side of the spectrum is going to be the more soft adventure, which is the National Geographic Journeys. It's going to be more slow paced, more cultural immersed, educational. That's going to be the differences when you're trying to figure out what's the right fit for your traveler.
mhm.
And just a fun little USB slide, of course. We 100% guarantee every departure at G Adventures. So that's regardless if one person goes or all 16 spots fill, it is going. So you can book it and be rest assured that that trip is taking off. We also offer what we call lifetime deposits. So if someone, we understand life gets in the way, if someone were to cancel, we're not going to take that away from you. So we'll hold on to that deposit for you, and we'll let you reapply it at any future date, never expires. And then more importantly, you can also gift it to someone as well. If you feel if your traveler is not going to experience it, but they want to gift it to someone, they can gift it to someone. And then I kind of mentioned earlier about the solo travelers. So we don't do forced supplements. We offer, we allow them to travel solo, or they can purchase the My Own Room, which is optional. And then, yeah, those are some of the main ones. Very exciting.
Cool.
Now, when we think about G Adventures, let's think about some destinations too that are exciting. A lot of people know from me, I always say Peru is our jam. But another one that I want to show a comparison for is Costa Rica. So I'm going to showcase the GLuxe version and then the National Geographic to share kind of the differences between the two. So let's go into it.
Sorry, Jeremy, we have a really quick question, and I
Yep.
think so Danielle is wondering, and I think, Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's referring to the Nat Geo tours, not the GLuxe, because those sound more active. But for the National Geographic tours, are those gonna be okay for people with disabilities or maybe not as able-bodied?
I would say in the adventure space, it's a little hard to be consistent and promise that. So that's probably not the best fit, unfortunately,
Mhm.
just because of some of the destinations we go and the terrain that we're on. It's just, unfortunately,
No
uh,
ADA.
yeah, it's a little, and some of these are in remote places that are really like, in Ecuador, you're going to be in in the rainforest or in the forest, or and then some of the villages, they're just not, they're very low key. So, unfortunately, I can't promise that as a consistency across the board, specifically in the adventure space.
Yeah, and if Danielle, like, maybe Danielle, if there's specific questions you have about, after you've looked at the itinerary, you can reach out to someone on Jeremy's team or call up G Adventures and ask about the specific itinerary, and they'd be able to let you know too.
For sure. That's the best thing you can do. Just call into the call center and ask them, and then they will give you the rundown. We'll give you the skinny. We'll say, hey, this is probably not a fit if it's not a fit. So,
Mhm.
but here's kind of a look at what the GLuxe Costa Rica experience looks like. So I haven't been this excited about a product launch in a long time. And I'm an active traveler, so I do enjoy this. I mean, I've done things like Everest Base Camp. I've done Inca Trail more recently. So like I do like trekking. That's one of my hobbies. And my next one on my list is Kilimanjaro. So hoping to do that very
Ooh,
soon because I am getting older. It is starting to hurt, so I do want to try to get it over with before I can't do it. But what's really exciting about the GLuxe product is there's going to be some branded experiences that you're going to see, and you're like, what is this OMG day and OMG stay? So we're still a quirky Canadian company, and we wanted to still keep our G-ness that we have. So what this breaks down to is, your OMG day is basically, it's like the iconic day, the big day of the whole trip that you're looking forward to. And what that does, it breaks down into two options for your travelers. They're able to do option one, which is, zip lining, or they can do the canyoneering as another option. So those are, I've done both of those activities. They are super fun. The canyoneering, it's like rappelling down a waterfall. It is so cool. Very popular thing to do in Costa Rica, but they'll have those options as the OMG day. And then some tours may include some, hiking, biking, rafting, or kayaking as additional excursions, but there will always be two to choose from for your travelers on the OMG day with a GLuxe experience. And then the other thing is, we were talking about that soft landing. It's like, okay, well, you're doing upgraded product, and we've said, okay, well, every trip is going to have one hotel that's going to be over the top, iconic, character rich, that fits the destination, and that's going to be your OMG stay. So this is what we're doing. We're staying at the Rio Celeste Hideaway Hotel in Costa Rica. And as you can tell, very beautiful, beautiful resort to relax in and unwind. So yes, it is finally here. You got the soft landing and it's comfortable. So I'm very excited for this. Here's another image of one of the properties, and it's cool because you're just in the jungle. That's awesome.
that's amazing.
Oh yeah, I'll go back. So yeah. Then we jump over to the National Geographic Journey side of things. A little bit of different itinerary, but this is a staple itinerary. We have a classic version of this trip, and National Geographic liked it so much, they're like, you know what? Let's keep it, and then just throw in a few more inclusions and make it, add the Nat Geo components to it. So we upgraded the hotels, and then we've added some more educational based things. So you'll see that there's the Monteverde Institute lecture. So that's just going to be, to learn about the trees, wildlife, and conservation efforts that are happening in Costa Rica. So that's more the educational side. And then we talk about that community tourism side, that community ship. You're going to do a tortilla making and home dinner. So that's sort of like a little homestay
Mm.
experience, which is really cool. And then my favorite, of course, is, I'm a coffee fan. It's the most addicting thing ever in the world. So the My Cafecito coffee co-op tour, you get to learn how the beans are harvested, and then you get to pick some as well, and then purchase their coffee. And what's really special is now you can purchase their coffee online. So if you do run out, you can order more. Yay!
Oh, cool. That's so supportive too of the like
Yes,
local companies.
exactly. So you can go to the source and
Mhm.
purchase some coffee, which I highly recommend. Very, very good coffee. But as you can see, we added some prices on there. So you're looking at a 9-day trip to Costa Rica for $2,300, which is
Yeah.
still, very affordable. And then even on the GLuxe side, I'll go back to that, $35.99. So as you can see, GLuxe is going to be a little bit more premium. Again, we don't fall in that luxury space. It's going to be more 4-star level. So just to kind of
Mhm.
give perspective. So but when we talk about more destinations at G Adventures, Peru is our beating pulse at G Adventures. So if you ever have a Peru lead, G should be your number one choice. We have about 68 different ways to do Peru, so I don't
Whoa.
want to showcase all 68. But I just wanted to share some countries, and the reason why these countries work best with community tourism is because it's where tourism and poverty intersect, and these are underserved communities, and travel and tourism is a big factor in the economy in these destinations. So when you're conscious of that, you want to be mindful of the suppliers that you're working with to ensure that you can make a difference by simply choosing the right supplier that keeps more money in destination and prevents that leakage that happens in our industry.
Mhm.
Another destination that's very great for us is Morocco. And in the adventure world, it's always in our top 3 every single year. So, great destination. That was my last destination I went to last year. So, I got to check out our National Geographic Journeys one, which is really cool. Very fun destination. I definitely I'm not a big camel rider, so I'm kind of like questionable on that one. But aside from that, it's
I
a
wanna see
very
this picture. I wanna see the picture of you looking really uncomfortable on a
oh
camel.
yeah, there's like everyone's like, yeah, you want to get the everyone's like, oh, take the iconic photo. I'm like, I don't want to. Oh, another destination too is in Thailand. Southeast Asia is a huge hub for us. We have a big office in Bangkok, and prior to the pandemic, we were doing daily departures out of there. Uh,
Wow.
and more recently, it's switched back on, so we're going to see that boost back up here pretty soon.
Just so you know, Jeremy, so my mom's in the comments, and she agrees on the camel ride, not one of her greatest moments.
Yeah. I hear you, Bonnie. It's especially the first time you have to like they do the whole lean back, and by the third time I finally got it because you feel like you're gonna fall forward as soon as they stand up, and you're like, oh my god. And no matter how well they prepare you for it, you still feel nervous that you're gonna fall. Another destination, Vietnam. That's actually on my list. I definitely want to check Vietnam out. And I want to check the GLuxe version of it because that seems really fun.
Looks delicious.
Colombia is another one that's been popping off quite a bit for us, and we love our friends at Colombia Tourism Board as well. Pro Colombia, great organization to work with. But yeah, our sales team did a conference back in 2015. So we did a mock of our tour and did a little sales conference, and we were blown away and surprised about how amazing Colombia was. Another good coffee region as well for those that are the coffee. I see some coffee fans in the audience. Uh,
Mhm.
and then just experiencing some of the culture there is just incredible. And the food, I think that one I went a little too crazy on the food when I was in Colombia. Still recovering to this day. Uh, South Africa. This is probably the number one selling National Geographic Journeys experience. And this is a
Mm.
great destination for those that want to get introduced to safaris. So, any first time safaris, or if they've never done it, this is a great one to do because it dabbles in it. It's not hardcore safaring. And I think that's a great avenue for folks that want to introduce, get started. And then from there, you can go to the really cool ones like the Botswanas of the world, or and then go into East Africa for the Tanzania and Kenya safaris. Uh, I am actually heading on a fam for this one in June, so I will. If those that want to follow me later, I can share my information. I'm really excited for this. We also have our own operation down there. We have a huge hub. So we run everything. So that what that means is basically we have control of everything that happens. So all of our CEOs, all the operations and vehicles that we have is all G. So this is also a good thing to mention to your travelers. And when they're like, why'd you pick G? Oh, because I know they're locally sourced and they're able to have control. So if I contact them, they're able to get in contact with my travelers very easily and take care of them.
Mhm.
And then yeah, more safaris and a fun photo there for those.
Hey there,
So
buddy.
we do East Africa. We also do Botswana as some of our more hardcore safaris that we offer. And then Egypt is another destination too. That's always in our top 10. That was my first G experience I took my wife on. And funny enough, she never left the country before she met me. And her first
Oh,
experience was Egypt.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
her parents are like, "Are you crazy?" But this was a very we have probably some of the best in the biz when it comes to CEOs or tour leaders in this space. Um, the one that we had, his name was Semsem, and he actually later that year won. There's the UK magazine called Wanderlust, and
Mm.
they nominate tour leaders around the world every year, and people vote. And he won Tour Leader of the Year in 2016. So it was right after we did our trip.
Wow.
I told my wife, I'm like, you got spoiled. You got the best of the best on your very first G trip. It's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
But what's really exciting too about Egypt is you go there and, for me, it was like, yes, the pyramids. I've always wanted to see them. I never thought I would in my lifetime. You go there and that's on like day 1 and 2. And you're like, okay, what next? Like, how could this trip get better? But as you get further into the heart of the destination, get down to Aswan and Luxor, that's when this true, and our CEOs are very good at storytelling. So then they walk you through time and share amazing, fun stories. And it feels like you feel like you're there back in time. And it's incredible. I also did the Temple of Abu Simbel, which is probably one of my favorite places I've been to. Just the site and just how they were able to relocate everything and keep it intact was amazing. And then we also did the hot air balloon experience over the Valley of the Kings, which was incredible. So Egypt is probably all time one of my favorite countries I've ever done.
Cool. That's great to hear.
Active. So I just kind of summed up some of our active destinations. So we are well known for being the #1 outfitter for the Inca Trail. So if you ever have people that want to do Inca Trail, we should be your #1 choice. We also do Kilimanjaro. We do all the different routes for Kilimanjaro. We do Everest Base Camp. We have a new one in Colombia called the Lost City Trek, which is not well known. It's like the new Machu Picchu, so I highly recommend it for those that are interested in seeing something unique and different, and that's not overcrowded.
Yeah.
And then we have some other fun adventures around the world. We do the Atlas Mountains as another one. So we are good for that on the active side of things. So, wow, this slide is not coming up very well. Uh-oh. So bringing it back together, I just want to close out the last, few minutes here I have with you, talking about just, that community tourism again. And we have an organization this photo is not really showing it very well, is Planeterra. So Planeterra is our nonprofit arm. So as part of our business
I didn't know
model, we
you
have,
owned it. Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was like a separate thing. Okay, that's really cool.
So, yeah, Bruce is the founder of Planeterra. And then we have Jamie Sweeting as our head of Planeterra. So he's our president of Planeterra. But what we basically do is we work hand in hand to find opportunities to uplift communities. And, it's a nonprofit that, it finds areas that are underserved, and we try to bring the supply chain along the ride to help support them and create, opportunities and jobs for people in those areas. It's an amazing, amazing effort. This is probably the main reason why I'm part of G Adventures to this day still. But just to kind of give you an ideas of what we look at when we go to these destinations, we find areas where lots of travelers go, but then we look in those areas and we say, who's being underserved? And these are some of the key focuses when we look at, okay, if we're going to create something, what can we do with it? And also, how can we get does the community want to be involved in this? Do they want to be part of this? So we look in areas where there's, empowering women, new paths for youth. So there's, in a lot of cases, troubled youth. And we try to find a way to help support them and get them out of that before they get trapped in that cycle of troubled futures.
Yeah.
So an example of that is we have the one pictured here is the Oodles and Doodles in Vietnam. That's the name of the restaurant. So we basically train them to run a restaurant and manage a restaurant in that area. A favorite one of mine is in India. It's called the Delhi Street Kids. And this is where we pick up troubled youth in the streets that don't have a home, and there's a shelter that supports them, and then it trains them to be tour leaders or as part of the hospitality.
Oh,
So
fun.
incredible stuff with that. It's very special. One that's empowering women, that's probably my favorite to this day, and the experience I had is a tearjerker for me. As when I went to India, there was this project called Women with Wheels, and women's rights in India aren't exactly on par with westernized efforts. So a woman's identity is mainly just mom and running the household. And a lot of women here have been struggling, and we were able to find an organization that helps train them to get their driver's license and be chauffeurs and pick up travelers. And this
Nice.
started out as a project to pick up all of our solo female travelers that arriving into India, and then it became a massive success. And now they pick up every single traveler in India. So it's an amazing, amazing project that we partner with, and I love it. One of my favorites. And then, as you can see, there's a lot other ones too here. So for the sake of time, I could tell all the 15 trips I've been on.
We need a webinar just on this. These are
Yes,
amazing.
yes, definitely. I will come back for that. But just to kind of give you an idea, again, the purpose of our nonprofit in G is to work together to find to help community tourism thrive and lift up those communities so that way they can thrive as well, and then your travelers have a more immersive experience in destination.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been the pioneers of this, using travel as a force for good. I'm going to sum up that really quick. But we've done some big initiatives, and just to kind of story tell over the years, more recently in 2015, we launched a 50 in 5 campaign where we wanted to add 50 new social enterprise projects into G Adventures Tours within 5 years.
Wow.
We achieved it a year early. And then Bruce was like, okay, let's up the ante. So then he announced the Project 100. And then we said, okay, we're doubling it and we need it by the end of 2020. So we were up to, I think, 90. We were up to 93 projects before COVID just hit. And then we had to hit pause
No.
and then make sure that we supported, we had to make sure that they could still thrive and support them during the harsh times of that COVID brought. But now that travel is on the up and up, we want to highlight some big goals that we have coming up. So by 2030, we want to have 50 million travelers experiencing community tourism, and then 1 billion worth of income reaching those communities.
Nice.
And then what that results in is 3.5 million lives improved around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Massive. And that's one of my favorite aspects of this. And with that comes Project 300. So we are going to be very, very busy these next few years building up to that. But we're going to integrate 300 of these, and we feel that's going to help us hit our goal. And that is going to change so many lives. But to sum all that up, you play a vital part in that. And that's why we call you agents of change. So all you listening out there or going to listen to the recording, please, we can't do this without you. So if you are not registered for G Adventures, please, please, please scan this QR code, or I'll share some links with you folks at the end to distribute. And then once you're registered, all you have to do is put your travelers on some amazing G Adventures trips, and then that in turn supports those destinations and helps us get closer to, hitting those goals. So
That's fantastic. That's good stuff. And this is actually a great one. If you haven't registered, because I know for HAR, because there's a lot of newer advisors on, that they don't tune in for the live webinars during the day. So if you're watching this later, make sure you're registered for the webinar so you can get signed up and get the information, or you can go straight to the platform and register as well. But very important so that you continue to get the G Adventures information, updates, things like that. You can see Bruce's huge goals. Watch out, HAR team. Um,
but yeah, once registered for G, you'll get access to our agent portal called Sherpa. And on there is the agent backpack. And that's where you'll have additional trainings that are a little more polished than me running off the cuff right now. So you'll get more product trainings that are more specific. So there's a full-on GLuxe training, National Geographic Journeys. And then also just a little tip, if you are, wanting to book you can book your travelers through Sherpa. There's a chat feature, which in the bottom right-hand corner, you can chat with someone and do your booking that way if that's easier. So it's pretty flexible. It's a very robust system, simple to use. And then here's just highlighting some of the trainings. So this is a certification, and if you complete this, you become certified as a Nat Geo specialist. And let me tell you, leveraging that logo and that's
yeah.
definitely something to have, that I would recommend, because once you get that, that rectangle box, they're very, very they like to protect that little that little
It's a
brand.
powerful
So
box.
it is a powerful one. So leverage it if you can. It would be great. And then here's just some more marketing assets that you have. So we do agent, flyers, and then kits that you can use. So it'd be like a flyer. You add your CTA on there, or call to action with your information, and then you can send it out to all your travelers. Here's just a teaser, some of the GLuxe stuff that we have.
Hmm.
Um, and then we do have a March sale. There is we have a link tree at G Adventures, which keeps you up to date. So all you have to do is save the link tree, and then my team will be uploading the latest sale. So you'll always be on top of what's available. It'll also have access to, Sherpa registration and all that. So please scan that QR code and you can drop that and you can check that out. And then I think I just want to, share this one, because We went a little fun. We had a little fun, and Bruce went a little crazy with us and was like, you know what? Let's do something really exciting.
Okay.
So if there's any Swifties out there, we have an experience called You Belong with G, and basically we're rewarding the top sellers to go on a New Eras tour with us in October. So
Whoa.
10 travelers, and each month it's a cumulative competition. So each month we'll announce the next winner. So we're only 2 months in as the time of this recording, or 3 months in. So you still have until June to get your spot. So we're taking the top 10 sellers to go experience it. You'll come with me and another one of our GPSs in October in New Orleans. So highly recommend it if you're a Taylor Swift fan.
That's amazing. Yeah, I need to get selling because my niece is a huge fan and she will love me forever if I do this.
I know. Well, I'm kind of like my wife is gonna kill me that I get to go and I can't take her. Like,
Oh, that is really sad. Oh,
so, and then we want to have options. So we know that not there's a lot of Swifties out there, but there's also ones that want to experience community tourism at the heart as well. So here's another competition that we just launched February 1st through May 31st. This is based on passengers. So you sell the most G passengers, you earn a spot to change makers.
oh,
What day is it? March 13th. Ooh, just off the cuffs. Sorry, I can't share the destination we're going to, but we'll be taking 15 US advisors. And then this is a global trip. Over 400 people attend. Last year, we went to Peru, and you got to basically, peel back the layers to see how these communities thrive and learn about how, G and Planeterra, our work that we did to help support them. And then we threw a big party. We had the village people attend for a concert, and people got to,
fun.
yeah, the YMCA, which I'm like, how is that? How did they? And what we learned is they never played in Peru before. Like that was the first time they'd been to Peru, so they were all about it. Uh,
Wow. And so, because this last year was the first year for this, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
So it's a combination of we used to have an annual what we call G Stock, and that was an internal conference where
fun.
300 top performers across G Nation would get to go to Niagara Falls,
Uh-huh.
and Bruce would have a keynote that day and announce all of our new launches and stuff like that. But now we're combining it with a couple of other things. We'll have a PR trip there with trade media. And we'll also have 15 agents from each region. So there's going to be the UK,
Wow.
Australia, South Africa, a bunch of. So it's very exciting stuff. But yeah, 400 people potentially going to our destination, which I'll say it's on the other side of the world. I'll just leave it that way. So to
We're
tease you.
leaking all sorts of fun information. We're teasing it.
Yep. And then we also have a Facebook community as well. U.S. Agents of Change, and then that's going to keep you up to date on all things G. So I'm going to leave it on this one because this is our GPS team. These beautiful faces. All of us have been are actually a lot of us are very seasoned G veterans. Many of us have been with G 10 plus years. I'm not the only one. Eduardo Cartaya is our most senior one. He's been with us, I think, almost 13 years.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know he'd been with you that long. Wow.
Yep, he was our first BDM for the U.S. And
Wow.
then we have Kara Lucchese, who joined when I joined. She joined a couple months before me. Tim Knight actually was our CEO, running our USA trips about 10 years ago. He was running those in the Southwest. And now
Wow.
he was a travel agent and then became our Southeast rep. And then Jonas Mulatto in the Midwest is our newest addition. He actually was our Iceland CEO. So he was running tours in Iceland for us, and then was a luxury travel agent. He fell in love and moved stateside and became a travel agent. And then now we were able to get him back in because he was so passionate about G, and we're happy to have him.
He's
And
in
then
the Minnesota region. Yay. I hope I
yeah,
get to meet him.
yep. So we'll definitely link you guys up. And then Natalie Line is also one of our newer additions, but she is a seasoned traveler and very passionate about community tourism. Was also a former travel advisor. So the common thing here is a lot of us have sat on your side of the desk. A lot of us have a lot of experience. I would say combined, we've probably been to over 150 countries between all of us. So we
Mhm.
are a very tight team, and we're here to support you any way we can.
That's
So.
awesome. Well, this is perfect because we've got a question from Robin. Robin is wondering, can the regional BDMs attend a travel night to present to the community potential clients?
Yes, so we would be happy to do that. I would just say, to set expectations. Obviously, we want to ensure that there's enough time uh, uh, in advance and notice. And when I usually say for this is we want to try to have at least a minimum of 20 people to kind of make it worthwhile. Anything less than that, you got to think about the cost to get out there. Even for you, the cost
Yeah.
for the to put the event on. So just be mindful of that, especially if this is the first time that you're doing it.
What kind of heads up would you need? What would you recommend? Like a couple months or
I would say, yeah, usually a 2 to 3 month window is probably best. Unless they live in your backyard, then it might be they might be a little more willing if they're in your backyard. So
Mhm.
we're still, we're a solid team, but there's still quite a few states in there if you're looking at some folks there.
You're
Uh,
busy bumblebees. You're like Jeremy is constantly traveling. He's like every time I email him, he's always out and about. He's a busy man.
yes, we are. So hey, we got to get out there to see y'all. It's all
Well,
about
it's
being
yeah.
putting the
That's
face with the
huge
name.
territories. Those are huge territories and that's on top of going to all the travel conferences because G Adventures always has presence there, so lots to do.
Yeah, and then for those listening in, depending on where you're from, we actually are preferred with almost every travel consortium out there. So if you ever do go to the national shows, please pop by, say hi. We're also preferred with quite a bit of host agencies as well. So you'll probably see a G Adventures person at them as well. So there's opportunities. If we can't meet you locally, you can at least meet us at one of the regional events if they're happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that are newer that are on here, even if G isn't preferred with your, say, consortium or host agency, you can still book G Adventures. That doesn't stop you from booking them. You can still sign up for Sherpa and all that stuff. So don't let that stop you.
And the more kudos you give, and that's also if there's enough people that reach out to their head office about this company, then that actually opens the door. So you guys have the ability to control what partners you want your host agency to partner with. So if
Hmm.
enough of you work together, say, hey, we really like this, it's supporting us, it benefits us. Now it's not just with us, but with any other partner. If you find one and a group of you want to work together, definitely don't be afraid to mention that to your head office because they like to hear what's working.
Yeah. And they like to know who people are booking or want to have closer relationships with.
Yep. So
Well, let's see. So, any other questions, please pop them in the comments. I think we've got most of the questions answered. This was great, Jeremy. I learned so much and I think most of the Heart team is going to be watching this. So, lots to learn on here. Thank you for sharing it with us today.
yeah, my pleasure. Oh, it was great. I was really excited to come on here today.
Were you because everybody needs to know this. Jeremy has a chip in his wisdom tooth, and he's been sitting talking for an hour, and the poor guy is going in for emergency dental surgery right after this.
It's my commitment to the community. So to in good favor, maybe a booking might be nice.
I know, poor guy. Like, give the guy something here. Um,
All good. Well, it's one of those, just like any toothache, it's on and off. It triggers. So luckily, it's holding off right now. But as soon as this ends, I am right to the dentist. So this is probably the last time I'll get to talk for a few days.
well, we are so glad you came because that was lots of great information. I know I learned a lot. Hopefully, those. Oh, wait. Here's a good question. We got one from Robin. This is a good one. So, how do we find out about regional events? Are there any upcoming ones scheduled for the Seattle area?
Regional events, you mean from us? I would say check. It would be more so checking in with your host agency and see what if they have any. Because uh, as far as our team goes, we try. We don't do as many road shows as we used to. We
Hmm.
will probably start doing that in the fall. Circling back. And we'll look at key markets too and key cities. So I think Robin said Seattle
Yep.
area. So Kara Lucchese, she's in Portland, Oregon too. So she floats between Seattle and Portland quite a bit. So I'm sure she would even if there was an event, she would still connect with you
Hmm.
pretty easily.
And then for, like, if someone was looking to experience G adventures similar to the way you've been able to experience so much of them, I'm assuming, like, if there's any fam trip opportunities or anything along those lines, they'd be in Sherpa or
Correct. So,
yeah.
yep, our sorry, no, I would be in our, Agents of Change, Facebook group. We'll do a
Okay.
lot of announcements there, and then if you register for Sherpa, you'll get the emails too when we launch new things and
Oh,
FAMs.
perfect. Yeah, so definitely make sure if you're watching this, you sign up and get on the list so you can get all that information.
And then, the other added benefit is if there is not a FAM going on or a destination that you're looking to go to, we do offer agent rates at 50% off. So,
Nice, perfect. Um, I felt like I had another question, but, oh, yeah. Whoever I'm not sure if it I think, I'm not sure who's in the comments from Har, but they're doing a great job. We have the link for the Facebook group already up in there, so, if you're watching this recorded, you can go to the live comments and you can see all the links if you're looking for them. Well, Jeremy, I don't wanna keep you from the dentist, so thank you so much for joining us. Thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy days or nights if you're watching the recording. And make sure to sign up so you get all the information from G Adventures. We'll also, Har team, if you want to pop in again the link where they can register for the webinar to get the information and get on GLuxe, we'll actually do it for you.
oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah. So thank you again, Jeremy. And I hope that tooth of yours starts feeling better soon. I had a toothache last year and it was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be extracted. They're gonna pull it out. So once they do, I'll probably feel much better.
All I kept thinking was, imagine what happened before they had like the anesthetic they put on. And I was like, where they just pulled out your teeth and they didn't have anything to help cavities. I was like, man, I'm glad I was born now and not 100 years ago for many reasons.
For sure, for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jeremy. We will see you all, well, sometime soon. Join us for the Friday 15 this Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. All right, Jeremy, we will talk with you later.
See ya. Take care.